decided I wasn't going to leave you hanging with where I was, because it's just starting to get juicy, it looks like, in Foreseen Beyond Time by St. Clair. I couldn't wait. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited, Harry. So, where were we? Alright, page 20. So the last sentence that I read where it was, by 2027 there was still a peripheral upheaval following the population cleanse, but an intense sense of peace also surrounded the planet at this time. Information technicians cooperating with the Time Lords in fine-tuning the substructure vortices were convinced that the entities of the Dark Lords, known also to some Earth scientists as the Greys, were attempting to alter the core timelines and shift mankind back to a thought-controlled matrix-based existence. The entities were apparently moving back into the Earth human reality through the 2012 portal from 40,000 years in the future, while trying to convince mankind that they were physically located in an Earth-based time zone. The Master of the Light had communicated that we had to pay attention to the complex scam being perpetuated on mankind. In reality, the scam entities had come from planets and star systems that had blown up in previous wars tens of thousands of lifetimes ago. And in order to flee the destruction of their worlds, they had shifted to a motionless or timeless zone our ancestors called the Netherworlds. These entities sought to convince mankind that they physically traveled to Earth from a physical point in the Earth's future. It was an ingenious trick they had played out on mankind over the last 12,000 years. The Netherworld entities hide in fragmented zones, where they functioned like clones within hive-like structures. Reptilian groups had abducted humans on Earth while attempting to breed a physical subrace. The Netherworld deception was known to the original native Earth cultures, who had inhabited the Earth over thousands of years, and whose traces are now all but lost. Ancient texts and tablets had been left to warn mankind of these Netherworld entities. The ancient Egyptian pharaohs, the Toltec mages, and Tibetan masters of light had clearly taught their disciples about the true nature of the spiritually disruptive, non-human alien presence on Earth. The Nordic blondes had been working with the guidance from a timeline not known to mankind. They had not been able to save the Earth, neither via technology nor via spiritual or intellectual teachings. They had tried to achieve certain improvements over millennia, but eventually reassessed their role during the treaty negotiations between Orion, Sirius, Mars, and Earth in 1963. 11/22/63. The Nordic bonds withdrew from Earth, leaving some of their best human assets in place. The Dark Lords had, with the help of reptilian subraces, established a complex fabrication of underground timelines and therefore succeeded in the current falsification of human history. They introduced the hostile presence into the Earth, and the genetic breeding of human reptilian clones had been the key factor in dislocating human populations from their own essential destiny. The reptilians created an anti-reality, or cave, in which people were looking at and interacting with the shadow world, Plato's cave, Plato's allegory of the cave. This was known to some as the Matrix, a term which in and of itself can be misleading. Oh shit. Holy shit! Hold on to your hats. Great Scott, Marty! Great Scott, Marty! No, this sucker's electrical. I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity. Some anti-reality clones were interacting with society in 1993, wandering among the human populations, devolving by 2001 into diluted fourth or fifth generation collapse. Each following generation was mentally and emotionally more debilitated than its predecessor. The clones distinguished themselves from real humans by their thoughts and actions. The coherence of the entity breeding program had begun to deteriorate very rapidly by 2012. And by 2008, the Matrix programmers knew that the point the guidance had warned them about had been reached. The nightmare of the Dark Lords was manifesting on Earth by 2009. The entities were turning on their masters as the Matrix control guidance systems implanted into the entities collapsed. The guidance had been warning the Dark Lords for hundreds of thousands of years, and the experiments eventually backfired as the Kali Yuga came to an end. By 2020, the guidance had turned the tide on planet Earth, bringing in elements with highly advanced genetics to herald the dawn of a new mankind. The fragmented timelines on Earth were the product of the Dark Lord's entities. The Master of the Light had shown me through Chillon Castle time portal how these things were done, undone, and redone. The intrusion created a slow explosion unfolding over tens of thousands of years. As the Nordic blondes had taught me, one has to have a silent mind to see beyond the illusions of the Matrix. The Master of the Light maintained that the genetics of the guidance were the active tools of the new mind consciousness. Consciousness was generated via genetics, and so his axiomatic tenet was that our team had to configure a human being who was able to work with the Force and hold the frequency of the guidance, which essentially is a light frequency network of cosmic consciousness. Alright, we'll stop there and do meditation now. Before we go home and shower and go see, look what time this is going to be showing, and go see the Three Innocent Strangers at the theatre. Alright. Okay, so just to remind you, 1 and 1, right? It's 2, but it's still 1, and it's 11, 11. Hare Krishna, hallelujah. Here comes the sun. Do-do-do-do. Here comes the sun, and I say, it's alright.